All right, so this was brought to my attention yesterday, I believe, uh, about Claude and Anthropic. Because I didn't know about this before, and I was like, okay, I can use AI to make a game that a board game that I actually designed myself and actually made the boards and the pieces for, right? Vected them, actually wood burned them, got the actual board physically made. Play tested it. Oh yeah, I can use AI to actually make the digital version. That way I can, play it with any of the board game players and the various, people in the community, right? Pretty sure like Splinkit, for example, loves board games. Pretty sure he'd be down to do a chess game. That being said, in the middle of Claude being a bit of a bastard, right? It's like, oh yeah, you ran out of free responses. Like, okay, I guess I'm waiting until 10:30, right? Oh, excuse me. Raiden actually keyed me into something that I didn't know about, which is Anthropic has been doing something called destructive scanning. And I was like, what the fuck is that? Yeah, I'm not. I will never personally use Claude again, just because I find this very disgusting, to be perfectly honest. Let's see. I work with the school district, so yeah, I'm fair. So here's Emerald Apple commenting on this. Glenn Beck also had a thing, but I actually couldn't find it. I think he's the guy who originally commented on it that Raiden was talking about. I can't find the original tweet, so I'm going to rip off of Emerald Apple today, right? So you'll notice that Anthropic is getting sympathy from no one, and they absolutely should not be getting sympathy from anyone. There's no reason for it. Also, again, copyright has been an abject disaster for the human race, and we'll see why, right? They trained their models with trillions of tokens of text and information from all over the web, books, and all kinds of copyrighted material, while companies like Anthropic keep their models as proprietary LLMs, and any of these Chinese companies release their models as open weights and are free for anyone with hardware to use. So yeah, Anthropic is one of those ones where it's like, oh yeah, we're going to keep everything close to the chest, and most of these other places are like, I mean, it's free and open source. You want to gen on your own locally without our restrictions? Yeah, sure, you can do that if you want, right? I was like, yes, so they're, yeah, they don't act like, even out of the gate, most of these AI companies. Let's continue. So, meanwhile, they keep loudly positioning themselves as responsible safety, as the responsible safety first company. They basically ate the entire web, then gatekept the resulting model, plus pushed hard for regulation. This happens all the time. Okay, so here's the thing. This company came in because they had funds to do this, right? And they did this, and then they made it basically impossible for anyone to compete with them by putting the regulations in place that they can afford, but that a startup can't afford to, right? So again, regulations are not an anti-business thing. They are actually a pro-corporatism thing, because the large corporations are the ones that will be able to actually afford the actual regulations. Most of us know this. Most of us understand this, right? A lot of the alleged safety regulations are things that were pushed by huge corporations. Think about, for example, Facebook or Meta pushing for COSO, and then subsequently the Kids Act, right? Literally to censor literally to censor and surveil the internet from the state, right? Again, interesting. I wonder why they would do that, right? But let's continue. This has rubbed a lot of people, even the pro AI people, the wrong way. I'm about as pro AI as anyone can get, right? I don't think you'll find many people in the AI community who have talked to me who will say that I'm anti AI in any meaningful respect. I'm about as pro AI as you can get. Yeah, this got me the wrong way too. I was like, fuck this company. But let's continue. Closed models created with public data capture the value, create massive economic moats, and invite exactly the kind of regulatory capture we're seeing. So the closed model itself isn't the problem I have with this. The problem is, again, the closed model and then push for hard regulation. Again, it's like, yeah, you can't do what we did, so we're going to use the threat of men with guns that everyone in America has to pay for, right? I don't get the opportunity to say, hey, I don't want to pay for my taxes to go to abortions in somewhere else in the country, right? If the state wants to use my fucking money to pay for someone's abortion, somewhere in the relevant area, I don't have a choice. The choice is between getting thrown in a cage and like paying the tariff, right? And that's just an extreme example. Any of these other ones, right? Like, hey, maybe I don't believe in the social program. Can I opt out of it? No, you absolutely cannot. My money does not belong to me. My money belongs to the state, and the state believes so, right? Oh, did you see the Activision fiasco being proven false? I actually have not yet. Feel free to send that to me, because I have no idea what you're talking about, Kura. Let's see. This says okay, here we go. But yeah, I mean, part of the regulation is exactly this, right? To, again, capture the value and make competition possible. They want to keep exploiting available data while wanting special rules protecting their profits. Yes, exactly. This paradigm is toxic and corrosive when the technology is so disruptive. And it's anti-capitalistic, right? They had the opportunity, they had the means, they had the method to do this, and then now if someone else can do it because they've already seen how to do it because other people have done it, then yes, they get yeah, no, it's unfair that we had to do all the work and then someone else could do it and like better than us, right? This is the same thing that this is the same thing that happens almost consistently with monopolies that then push for regulation. Ever notice how like these giant monopolistic corporations push for more regulation, right? Because if they don't have the threat of men with guns to actually enforce the fact that they're the only ones who get to do these things, other people will come in, and even though they don't have billions of dollars, because other people can come in, all of the prices have to go down, because if someone comes in and they're charging lower, then that means they're taking money away from the large corporation, which means they have to, again, adjust their prices, and that actually produces a balancing effect, even in a totally unregulated market, right? Oh my God. Because like in a totally unregulated market, there's nothing stopping me from just starting up my own business and then doing that thing locally. Right? What the fuck is the billion-dollar corporation gonna do? Right? They might say, like, the only thing they can do is send men with guns at me. And the way they do that is through the state. Right? So what exactly does regulation accomplish other than stopping me from doing the thing I want to do that the other company's not doing that's actually bigger than me? And like, even if they can fucking like come in and like, oh yeah, you know what, fuck you in particular, we're gonna undercut you, that's still better for the consumer, because by undercutting me, who's already presumably trying to provide a lower cost product, they have to lower the cost, right? Oh my God, this is basic stuff. Hello, Runya. Sorry, I could you tell I hate regulation, right? So the entire concept of LLM, large language model, scaling relies on public data. Yet the rewards are privatized and monopolized by whoever has the best distribution / compute, Anthropic, OpenAI, Google. Okay, so I don't think this is really all that much of a complaint, because it's the same thing with like the art thing, where it's like, I can go online and I can go see what other people have done artistically, and I can go and personally examine what they've done, like deconstruct how they did it, and then replicate what they've done on my own through study. And that's not really substantively different than what the LLM is doing on language, except for on a much faster scale, because it's not limited by the firing rate of neurons, it's limited by the firing rate of silicon transistors, shooting electrons at each other. So let's see. This is a recipe for disaster where the most powerful tech is controlled by a few elites. Like it is specifically the regulations doing this, because here's the thing. I know a lot of these people don't do this, but there's a thing called home brewing you can do. You can literally make your own computers at home if you actually like do even basic research. And I've been encouraging people to do things like home labbing, home genning, and a bunch of other stuff at home. That way they don't have to rely on a lot of these larger networks, right? If something happens, they can still do shit themselves. Anyway, and the only way they could possibly stop you from home brewing is regulation, right? The company literally doesn't have the power to stop you otherwise, right? It's like, oh yeah, we're not going to sell you this because we're not going to make it. Okay, well then if the market's not regulated, someone else can fucking do it, right? Let's see. This is a recipe for, where is this? But open weights are the closest thing we have to pushing back against that. I think open weights are a good policy in general, but you've also heard me, you've also heard, you probably also heard me talk shit about copyright, and I do have an anti-copyright video to make at some point, right? Never used Claude, so I don't know about this. That's entirely fair. I only found out about this yesterday because of Raiden. So, yeah, long story short, this is the thing I want to talk about right here. I just wanted to like give this as a primer. Destructive scanning is exactly what it sounds like. So apparently, finishing the workday, so lurking. Understood. Thank you for stopping by, Mad Murph. So if we're going to win the AI race while also preserving rare books, American Western copyright law needs to change. And yes, again, I've bitched and moaned about copyright law being ontologically, again, inauthentic. But at the same time, there are also pragmatic issues that come up with copyright law, other than just some dickhead can hold on to an idea for 75 years after their death, right? Anyway. The reason for the destruction is mainly because of legal reasons and not a technical reason. It is a technical legal reason. There are non-destructive scanners that can scan 200 pages a minute or faster. If it were purely a technical reason, it is a technical reason, it's just not a technological reason. They could preserve the pages and store them instead of shredding them. After the 2025 Bartz versus Anthropic ruling by Judge William Alsup, and by the way, I want to know how old this judge is. Hold on. I'm going to check that out. Keeping the only digital copy while destroying the originals was fair use because it was for a format shifting. This doesn't make any sense, right? If I were to, for example, take one of your books and then copy a book, and then since I didn't, let's say you lend me a book, right? And I scan the entire book. Now you own the copyright, right? And you scan the book, and then it's like, oh wait, now there's 2 copies of the book. I didn't get permission to make a copy of the book. Oh, I'm gonna destroy the physical copy. That doesn't make any fucking sense. The original thing that was the property is now destroyed, right? So it's like, this is one of the problems with copyright, is that it's not attached to a physically instantiated thing. But I digress, right? Anyway. So keeping only the digital copy while destroying the original was fair use because it was for a format shifting. This is literally witchcraft, right? This is actually literally witchcraft in talking, right? This makes no physical sense, right? The way that magic actually works, historically speaking, is you didn't have magic words that then changed reality around you, right? The whole point of magic is to change perception through the manipulation of information, right? That's what a magician does when he gets on stage and he manipulates your sense perception to make you experience something that actually didn't happen, right? The way historically wizards and sorcerers did this was they manipulated rhetoric, so the use of language deceptively, sophistry, so this is the use of philosophy deceptively, so we're talking like ancient debate bros. In fact, that's effectively what a sophist in ancient Greek was the original debate bros. And then confidence epistemology, right? The confidence, like a confidence man, i.e. a con man, right? Someone who sells you bullshit but with confidence, and so it gets you to lower your ground. You combine all 3 of these things to change the way a man perceives reality around him without actually changing reality in and of itself. This is basically how all magic works. But anyway, this is basically what this is, right? You're trying to tell me that it is fair use because there's only 1 copy left, but the thing that's left is a copy. It is not the original thing. You still made a copy. You just destroyed the original. So anyway, retarded judge aside, right? Because it prevents an increase in the number of copies. Ah, there we go. Now we have a law of conservation of information of some kind, right? It's like, yes, it does. I fucking hate these people. Because it's a replacement, it is transformative. Then what the fuck is the... Copyright already has a caveat for transformative use. If this is a transformative use, why was destroying the original at all an issue? Right? Why was it necessary to destroy the original if the act of format shifting is transformative? This man is talking out of his ass. I am so sick and tired of judges, to be perfectly honest, especially judges legislating against from the bench in order to create new law wholesale. Judges do this quite often, by the way, where they'll just make shit up, and then it becomes effectively law because they've made that shit up from the bench. I am tired of tyrannical black robe judges not following the fucking law. Anyway, Copyright is inherently flawed. It only benefits those who have money and power, not the common man. Yeah, exactly. Like, if Disney violates my copyright, which I operate under copyleft anyway, right? But let's say they stole my character design, and they're like, yeah, so what are you going to do about it? Take us to court? I don't have the money to fucking fight Disney. They basically own my copyright, even though even though it's legally mine. They basically own it if they take it. What the fuck am I gonna do about it? Take them to court? They're just gonna stall to the point I can't have any. I don't have any money to spend, right? So let's see. Well, Twitch did not like that comment. Lol, refused to post it. Fair. Do not destroy the original. Yeah. Okay. It doesn't seem to say in this video, because I just looked ahead. It doesn't seem to say in this, but among the things that were apparently destroyed was an old copy, right? Apparently in the original language of Don Quixote, which was an old Spanish epic poem, by the way. Foundational Spanish text, by the way. And a old copy of, like, a primary copy of the Divine Comedy by Dante Alighieri. That's it's usually broken up as Inferno, Paradiso, and Purgatorio. But the way that they did this is, like, they would scan it and then they would split the spine from the book and then shred the book itself. I was like, what the fuck is the point of this? This is a literal artifact. You're going to destroy literal artifacts to do this? Granted, yeah, you could probably... we have some companies that exist specifically to preserve old books, but this makes no sense because the Divine Comedy, Dante Alighieri, the original copies of the original language, in the version of the Divine Comedy and Don Quixote, no, I was thinking of the Song of Roland. Don Quixote is not Spanish. The Song of Roland is Old Spanish. But it was Don Quixote and the Divine Comedy. I'm getting flustered, right? But these aren't copyrightable. These are way older than lifetime of the author plus 75 years. So what the fuck are these being destructive tested for? Right? Anyway, basically you can own a book, but if you make a digital copy, you are breaking the law under the reproduction right part of the copyright. So again, this doesn't make any sense. Why, if I own a book, can't I myself just copy the book, make a digital copy for myself? Who does that actually hurt? Right? In what way does this violate any kind of property law? I mentioned in a previous video the nature of property, and this is why intellectual property is invalid. You could potentially talk about things like it being a violating quote unquote IP being a negative easement, but it's not theft in any meaningful way, because the whole point of property is that it arose to solve a very real problem regarding scarcity. Right? Physical entities can only be used in one way at one time, right? If I have a shovel and it is my shovel, then I decide where it can dig because someone else cannot use the same shovel at the same time in the same respect somewhere else. This seems like it's really obvious, but apparently this is something that needs to be said. The only thing China has is it does not give a singular shit about copyright. I mean, I would agree. That's the one thing China definitely does, right? The first sale doctrine under U.S. copyright law just doesn't work in the digital age. Obviously not, right? Meanwhile, China keeps trucking out without interference while preserving its own history and rare books. The laws give a lot of exceptions for anything that advances technical innovations, so their AI companies can train on anything they can get their hands on. And I think that's fair, right? I think that's fair. If you're going to try to make general AI, generative both, and general AI, although I don't think general AI is anywhere near, like, happening, and I think there's real reasons to think that it's probably not going to happen. But yeah, no, I don't get it. Because it's frustrating, because anyone who understands how these programs work understands that you cannot actually find any of these texts in the actual training model, right? If the training data was contained in the actual model, they would be billions of times larger than the actual model, than the actual program you end up getting from things like, again, you can literally download a grok model. You can download a fucking, open source, you can download a model of ChatGPT. And they're too small to hold their entire training data, right? This is the whole thing where it's like, obviously people were like, oh yeah, it's stolen data. It's theft. It's like, well, even if we granted you your initial assumption, it's not in there. right? When you download a copy of this thing, nothing of the training data is in there. It's all been translated into weights. Anyway, they want to justify rendering ownership physical copies a danger of piracy, therefore making physical medias illegal. Wouldn't surprise me. There has been a big push against physical media, right? Yeah, no, it's like, I find this to be honestly entirely unacceptable. Let's go here. AI companies are bulk buying rare books, scanning through them at high-speed machines that cut off spines and shredding the originals. This is wrong. This is actually incorrect. Grok is not doing this. Elon Musk came out and said that they will not do this. OpenAI came out and said they will not do this. This is very specifically a Anthropic, Claude issue. So anyway, so that's factually incorrect. But that being said, hold on. Let's see if I can find this, so we can see what exactly we're talking about. Pretty sure that's going to show it. Yep. So yeah, this is more or less what they do at the end of it, right? You just, as I said earlier, cutting off the spines of the books so that you can then just destroy them. It's like, okay, you're just going to do this to rare and priceless books. Granted, not every book is priceless, right? Like, there's a reason why it's like the certain books, like old economy books that aren't foundational, sell for like, what, sometimes like paid literally cents instead of dollars, right? Because not all old books are equally valuable. But they're doing this to priceless books too. It's like, here's an example in practice, right? Yeah, you could just look at this and tell how like, nothing in the scanning process requires this to be destroyed. You can actually just scan the fucking book and then give it back to the original owner. I have no problem with this. I have a problem with this. This is fucking ridiculous, right? Yeah, basically the entire fucking internet is upset with AI companies, but it's only Anthropic. Anthropic is the one doing this. Grok's not doing this. Fucking OpenAI is not doing this. But yeah, it's one of those things where it's like the antis have a right to be mad at this, but then they can't actually do the basic research of, you know, checking to see which companies are actually doing it. So I digress, right? So anyway, there's my thoughts on this. I personally will never use Claude again because I don't want the priceless artifacts that are being scanned to be treated the same way the worthless books are, right? So, yeah, that's just my 2 cents on that. I do not like this. I'm gonna have to find another AI to actually make games under my direction. But you know, it's better than funding this shit. Anything to be anti, right? Yeah, fair enough.